I kind of thought, man, this secondary character almost seems like they could be the hero of the story.
Earlier this week, I mentioned to Nathan that I had an idea around a storytelling device, but I didn't want to share it with him yet because I wanted to get his reactions in real time, just so that you can see the kind of interaction that we have as we're exploring different ideas. And I realized that this is an idea that I may share it with him and he may simply go, doesn't everybody know that? It may be completely anticlimactic, or it may be really interesting, but I wanted you to be able to participate and see what that interaction might look like. So no pressure, Nathan. It's all on you. You have no idea what I'm going to talk about. But before we get there, it's one of the things that we do want to do on this channel is just share what kind of progress we're making each week. So what's one of the things that we talked about that we're looking at doing?
Well, one of the things that we're looking at not actually doing is the monthly writers meeting. A couple weeks ago, we mentioned our local writers group that we wanted to start attending, and we showed up to the library and realized the library was closed for renovation. Today is the next meeting, and the library is back open again, and so we're looking forward to going, except that we have something going on this tonight scheduled already, and so we're not going to be able to go again. But hopefully next month nothing comes up, the library doesn't decide to reconstruct again, and we can attend that meeting and finally get some of that interaction with other writers and hopefully get some good feedback and good advice about how to continue on this journey of writing a book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have our start, stop, and keep that we talked about last week, and one of the things that we wrote down today we want to stop doing is stop missing these writers' meetings. And speaking of missing things, we are also looking ahead at the video production schedule, and we're realizing that coming up in a few weeks, we are both going to be going separately to the same event. The total solar eclipse is coming up, and we are each headed with different groups. He's going with a group of friends, and Lana and I are going. We're turning this into our 30th anniversary getaway celebration as well. So we are not planning to get together on that Tuesday to record, but we are planning to find a way to still have some storytelling related content to put together in a video for you. We want to make this a every week, very consistent production schedule.
And we're not sure exactly what that's going to look like yet. We have some ideas of how we might make a video, but we do want to provide consistent content for you and something that's really every week.
And hopefully interesting.
Hopefully interesting, yes. Some of the more interesting things that we've done over the past week is we've looked into some of our plot as well as some of our characters and developed those a little bit more. One of our major plot points, we've gotten a little bit better idea of what that's going to look like. There's still a lot of progress to be made in getting all the details down, but we have a basic framework and some of the details of what that's going to look like. And then you've especially done a lot of work on one of our secondary main characters, is that what we're calling her?
Yeah, I think so.
Secondary main characters, her background, and what exactly her life is like. And it was interesting when you shared your work with me, we found that some of the ideas that had just been floating around in my head about that character corresponded pretty closely with some of the things that you ended up writing down. So that was interesting to see how our brains kind of worked similarly in forming that character in the framework that we had already discussed about what the story was going to be like and what that character needed to be able to do later on in the story.
And I think it worked to shift some of our focus that we decided last week.
Yes.
Let's start thinking about character and what do we need to know about the events in order to answer the questions about character. And when we got clarity on the plot point, I think that level of clarity helped inform for both of us things that we knew needed to be true about the character. And that was just interesting to see the way that that happened. And as part of our continuing effort to develop our skills, I am planning to attend a meeting, an online virtual event. Not sure whether I will be able to do that or not, but planning to attend tomorrow. There is an event being put on by a professional editor, and he has invited submissions from the audience, and he will be real-time providing editorial feedback. I certainly did not have anything to submit, but it's a really good opportunity then to learn from the questions that other people have. So that's something else that I'm looking forward to. But the storytelling idea, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I had a little bit of a storytelling idea that I wanted Nathan's feedback on. And as a little bit of background, Nathan, you and I have talked on a number of occasions about the hero's journey.
Yes.
So just as a little bit of a background precursor to this idea, maybe share for those who haven't heard just a very high level, surface level explanation of what is a typical or stereotypical hero's journey. What does it look like?
The first piece of media that I think of when I think of the hero's journey story is Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. And just kind of as an example of what the hero's journey story is like, you've got this person living a normal life when suddenly something happens to interrupt that. In the case of Star Wars, he finds these droids, and the Empire comes and kills his aunt and uncle who've been taking care of him. And he meets a mentor. In Luke Skywalker's case, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, who introduces him into a completely new world. The world of the Force, the Jedi, and all the history surrounding that. And he finds out that he's like the one person who can help to defeat all the evil that's going on, or save the world, or whatever this big thing is. He's the person who can do it. And this mentor takes him along this path, shows him, often in the hero's journey, the mentor ends up dying. And we see that with Obi-Wan. Another example of this would be in Lord of the Rings, Frodo being the one who his life gets interrupted and is taken on this quest, and Gandalf there is the mentor, and he dies in the first movie. Spoiler. And then with the stuff that he has learned from his mentor and kind of this extra urge to continue on this path because he saw how evil the evil really is, in that the evil killed his mentor, he eventually goes on and completes the quest, completes the mission, defeats the evil, blows up the Death Star, throws the ring into Mount Doom, and everything is good with the world after that.
So the short version, the abridged version, you have somebody, your main character gets called on a mission, and they meet a mentor who enables them to complete the mission. And here's where I don't think I've seen this before.
Okay.
It may just be because I'm not paying attention. But we're talking about multiple main characters.
Yes.
And so we've already talked about how, to some degree, our main character, our primary main character, meets the secondary main character, who's, to some degree, serves as that guide or mentor. And here's where my brain went with that. What if each main character is on their own hero's journey? And we tell the storyline, so every one of the main characters has some growth to do, but secondary main character is primary's guide. Third main character is secondary's guide. Fourth main character is third's guide. And primary main character is actually the fourth's guide. So it's all circular. And the reason that what drew me to that is the way that even with just two of us in real life, we have played both guide and hero in each other's lives, and how early in our relationship I was very much guide in the life where you were your own hero, and now in this effort, in the storytelling, in our journey here, you have often played the role of guide in my life. And if it works that way with just two of us, what opportunities does that give it if we try to formulate that with all four?
That does provide some interesting things with having the character's strengths and weaknesses correspond.
Interesting.
And where one character is weak, the other character is strong, and you can do that with two characters, but if you do that with more, you get, I think, more dimensionality to the characters and what they're like, and looking at all their different strengths and weaknesses. But it also plays into a little bit something that I had been thinking. I don't think I shared this with you, but as we've fleshed out the secondary character, we've actually fleshed out the secondary main character a little more than we fleshed out the main character. But in so doing, I've kind of thought, man, this secondary character almost seems like they could be the hero of the story. Like, they could be the main character, because we have a lot of detail about what their life is like, more so than we do the main character. I've kind of looked at her story and been like, man, she could almost be the one whose path we follow on this journey. And so looking at her as someone who has a mentor and somebody who kind of fulfills that hero's role in the hero's journey kind of plays off of that and works well.
All right. So it sounds like there's some potential here.
Yes, I think
so.
And
I'd be curious, for those of you who have paid attention in more stories than I have, I'm curious if you have seen that kind of a circular mentorship relationship in any of the fictional stories that you've read, or if you have your own feedback on what you think works well, what might cause problems. We always want to have feedback. And that's one of the reasons I want to go view the online event, where we want to be attending these writers' meetings. Any feedback that you have, especially on the idea of a circular mentorship relationship. Love to see your feedback in the comments, and we hope to see you again next week.